goodness. Okay, hold on, chat. Give me a second. Let me try to figure this out. All right, so
I can try to do the opening. It's like I can't remember. It's like
no,
it's
don't
like,
do the opening.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's like that, right?
What did he say? And they said sorry. Something. I can't understand him after that. What do you say?
Yeah.
Sorry. Something.
It's something like
that's
that.
all we
I don't remember
needed, though.
exactly. Yeah.
That's all we needed.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's just a regular stand-up.
Dude, this
Hey guys,
sucks.
welcome to the stand-up
All right,
here.
I
It's
have
me,
to-
the Primogen.
I might have
Yeah.
to restart my computer.
DJ, nice bounce. Yes, that is that bounce.
Okay, guys, we're in a bit of a conundrum.
Are we gonna raid Tej and then raid him back?
I have to restart my computer, but there's an update pending. So I do not know exactly how long this is going to be.
Prime, here's a quick question. Before you do that, I can click stop.
All right. We're going to.
I hear the sound.
Make and bank on this podcast, but Prime can't figure out how to start it. You're like, this is money. Like, this is my money burning away, right?
It's the key feature. The
Okay.
main thing sponsors are looking for is authenticity, and you're like, you
That's a good-
cannot fake this level
That's
of
a good
stupidity.
point. That's a very, very good point.
All right, everybody, things are ready, and we are ready to start the stand-up, the most authentic podcast of
Yes.
them all. Yes. Today we have with us TJ, resident genius. We have Casey Moratori, Riz expert, and of course Trash Dev, with whom we all love and say very nice things about.
But don't ask about his keycaps, guys.
Do not.
No, we're not
Don't-
talking about keycaps today.
Don't ask about the O key.
Yeah,
Do not
yeah,
ask
no.
what is on the O key.
Do not.
That is the cardinal rule of the stand-up.
So, with that said, we are going to be talking about performance today. And of course, not only is Casey a Riz expert, he is a mediocre performance man. As at least
That's
this is
right.
what he says. He says he's not a deep performance guy. He just has some basic ability in it, and he knows things that we don't know. And so we want to hear some good stories from Casey about this. And maybe we'll tell a couple stories ourselves about some performance stuff that happened
Falcor.
for
Oh,
us.
sorry.
Falcor. What the
Let's start with
all
the
about?
mediocre part. Actually, can we start with the mediocre part?
Yeah,
Because
sure,
that was the part I most wanted to talk about.
I wanted to because I remember you specifically always saying, I'm
Yeah.
not a performance guy. I'm not a performance guy. That's why I called it mediocre. But if you didn't like that,
No, I want to talk about that because that is exactly what I want to start with. I just want to start with this depressing fact or observation, which is that if you rewind time like 20 years, right? You just turn the clock back to
I was
when
in high school?
I'm much younger, right?
Middle
I don't think
school.
Tej was born yet. Tej wasn't born, right?
I was 11, all right? I was 11, okay?
There you
Such
go.
a baby.
I know, right? He was ziplining and dad camping with his own dad.
So true, so true. Really brings me back.
It brings you back. I was the person who did not know anything about how CPUs worked or performance or anything, right? And that was pretty consistent. Like I generally was just like, I'm just writing, code to do stuff and worrying about how things are architected and stuff like that. And what was weird is I'm sure, like, I've definitely gained a lot of knowledge over the 20 years. So I'm not going to pretend like I don't know a lot more than I did then, but I definitely did. But my attitude on stuff has really not changed. I've always just been about, I want this thing to run reasonably and then we're good. But the perspective of everything that surrounded me has constantly just been ratcheting downwards and downwards and downwards and downwards over the past 2 decades, to the point where now I just want things to run reasonably well. That has not changed, but everyone's now like, reasonably well is this unattainable, you must be an optimization god to even consider it level. And that is so weird, right? I've just watched it go, and I'm still like, I'm not hand coding stuff in assembly language. Half the time I don't even really look that hard at the performance of stuff that I'm working on. I'm just, vaguely making sure that it doesn't dip below, a nice 60 FPS output like it should have, right? It's not that hard. So it's been so weird to see the standards just drop through the floor and everyone act like nothing happened. So I just wanted to start there with that observation, because I think people think I'm like this hard, like I was back there like hand coding assembly on the Commodore 64 and like, what's up with you losers, right? It's like, no, I'm just like everybody else. It's just I don't know that. So do you know what I'm saying? Is this
So
landing
you're
at all?
like everybody else, but you have you care slightly. Because even now, 60 FPS, that's not considered a banger anymore. You got to be 144 at this point.
Exactly. I mean, I'm the guy who's like, yeah, 60 was probably fine, right? Like I'm literally, my standards are not like, oh my god, if it's not 500 megahertz, then you're not, right? And I appreciate those performance goals, certainly. Like if I was doing an action game or something, I would want that. And I like even being able to move a window around at 140 hertz. It feels great. It does, right? But I'm not out there like going like, oh my god, I can't believe people didn't ship a 500 megahertz update for this, Twitter or whatever. But just it dropping down to like update times in several seconds is just fine. Where did it come from? You know what I'm saying?
Can I propose at least one small thing?
Please.
Yes.
I do think that there was, if you remember the 90s, which I'm sure you do, there was an entire world where we went
Barely.
from not being on the internets to being on the internets, and everything took many, many seconds to do anything. Like everything was so big. And so as everything got faster, I think there was like, at least among my generation, the millennials, where's my millennials at? There was like a general acceptance that, hey, look at this. It went from taking 10 seconds to taking like a second. Things are so fast now. Like, look how amazing this is. And so like a 1 second loading time was like a miracle passed down to us. I remember the days of going, because I used to watch my mom, and I used to be really into the stock market when I was in 6th grade and do all the stocks with my mom. I
Probably
really
had
loved
a
it.
lot of friends too, didn't you? A lot of friends.
I did. I went to a private school. There was 12 of us in our grade. I was into things. Okay, I was into things. And I still remember, like, during that day, just watching her on Charles Schwab, and it would take like 45 seconds a screen. So when things were taking a second, I think I never kind of lost that magic. And so perhaps, like, there's like a part of me that still lives in the fact that I used to try to download this 30 megabyte game called Slayer.net, where it was like an RPG. You'd go and like level up, and 30 megabytes was every 5 minutes 1 megabyte. So that's 5 times 30. There's there's a lot. That's a lot of time, 2.5 hours just to download 30 megabytes. So I live in this permanent world of, I can't believe this works. And so maybe I'm part of the problem, is that I just love it. I just cannot believe we have all these nice things. All right, TJ.
Quick side question. Is the rumor true that you used a briefcase instead of a backpack in 6th grade? Or?
No, my mom would never let me use a briefcase because that'd be bad for your spine. So I was never
Oh, so
allowed
instead
to
you
walk
one
around.
shoulder strapped and
No,
broke
I never
yourself.
one shoulder strapped either. That'd be bad for your spine. Nor did I overload the
wow.
books with it. I always did a 2 shoulder strap. I never needed to be cool. Always was instead. And I just simply had a couple books in there. Okay, I was never that guy that ran with all the books. You, TJ, strike me as a guy with all the books in the backpack kind of kid.
No, I didn't bring my books to school. I listened in class and then got A's.
Oh,
All right,
snap.
sorry. All right.
Nice
Wow.
try, Glenn. You've completely
All right.
mischaracterized
All right.
me.
Wow. Okay. So you didn't need the books are you don't need those books. Those
Books are
complete-
irrelevant. The only time I ever needed a book, Spanish class.
Okay. Yeah.
Me,
Yeah, I
you
always
have to
needed my
memorize
book
stuff.
because you had to read out loud. We always read from the
All right.
book. And
But
So
yeah,
when
I mean,
Prime
if you have- if
said he
you're-
was going to get a tortilla before, were you like, what? Sorry, what?
Is pronounced tortilla.
Okay.
oh my god.
sir, tortilla. Even I can read.
Well, I think Prime's suggestion is probably a good one. Like, I mean, I could totally see that if people are all still thinking that that their computer is running over like a 9600 baud modem connecting to AOL, then maybe some of these speeds would be explicable, right? Like they would make a lot more sense. But most people are on connections so fast right now, especially like when you're talking about the high end. So like if you're talking about like even my setup here where we don't have like fiber to the home or anything like that. We're like out in Comcast land. But it's still like only a few milliseconds ping time, and the bandwidth is like, something like 2 gigabit. Like it's very fast. basically everything should be instant. It's all just issues with either data center or what's running or the servers or how you wrote it or the client side or whatever. There's really not, like, you're not gated by the things that you would have been gated by in the 90s by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But if people are still thinking like somehow that's true, that would explain why they think this is fine, I guess, because they're like, wow, you guys are doing really good running this on a 9600 baud modem. I'm like, yeah, okay, that is pretty impressive for a 9600 baud modem.
What I mean
no
by
disagree.
this is that there's like a part of me that when something takes a moment to load, I go, internet, right? Because it's just like I spent a
Right.
decade going internet. And so it's like still
Right.
built in me just to assume that anything that takes a second is internet.
And it's not. It
It's
never
not.
is.
I worked at Netflix also,
Completely
and I know
false.
for a fact it's not internet. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, in my head, I'm like, internet, even though it's not.
Yep. Okay.
I
Yeah.
remember the moment I got like a solid state drive, and the startup time of like my computer was just significantly faster. And it was that like from that moment, I was like, okay, things can be way faster than they are now.
Yep.
And then that kind of like from that moment on, everything's just needed to be like really snappy. But to like to Prime's point, I always thought, yeah, just latency to some endpoint that they're calling. But if it's like an app on my phone physically that takes like more than a second to open, I'm like, what the? And I kind of figure it's not an API endpoint. It's probably just maybe the hardware in my phone. But like as you upgrade your phone, right, the phones get snappier and snappier. I'm kind of the guy that upgrades his phone every like 5 years. I don't really care too much. But then like once you upgrade, you're like, man, I've been missing out. So like my threshold of like tolerance is like slowly, I don't know.
I think the public's might be as well. Like, I see a lot more people complaining about this sort of stuff now, so I kind of feel like maybe the tide is turning. Because like I felt like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I don't know how long, I've been saying this kind of stuff for a long time. I felt like it was just like, this guy, he's way too high standards, whatever. I don't feel that much anymore. It seems like people are kind of coming around to the fact that no, really it is like, it just sucks and like things should be a lot faster. So I do feel like there's some kind of a attitude change, but I'm not sure why that's happening either. Just like I'm not really sure why no one cared before. I'm not sure why they seem to start caring now, but I'm glad they are, right? I'm glad they're putting that pressure on, at least a little bit.
TJ, you got to talk to us. You look like you keep
Okay,
agreeing and shaking your head, but I don't hear any words.
Well, the thing I really wanted to do is I was hoping everyone could go quick around in a circle and everyone can do their best dial-up sound impression. There's probably a lot of viewers here who have never heard one. And then
Okay.
I'd love to have the YouTube commenters type out what they think their
Okay.
best dial-up impression
Dude.
is and
Got
leave
ya.
that in the comments. Yeah.
I got a story real quick. The
Okay, hit me,
dial-up
Trey.
Good,
sound.
thank you, because I
So-
don't want to make a dial-up sound.
No, we're coming back to that. We're circling back
I'll
to
make
that.
one, but
Yeah.
when I was like younger and I was like, doing that Dragon Ball Z chat and AOL, this would be like 10 p.m. at night, it's school night. I don't even know how old I was. And I would literally take my huge like comforter from my bed,
Yes!
smother my computer
Yes.
just so you could not hear the sound, and then just like pray. Like by the time this like 20-second sound is done, that I don't hear my parents walking, but it was like,
yes.
yeah.
Very good. Yes.
That's perfect.
We don't need to do any more. He
No,
just
we do. We
freaking
still do.
crushed
That
it,
is
dude.
so
Literally,
funny. Hold
he
on. So you
crushed
would
that.
hide it from your parents?
Well, I smother the sound so they can't hear me because it like radiates. Like,
Well, is
through
it
the
is
house.
it because you weren't supposed to be on the computer at that
Yeah,
point?
it's
Is
10
that-
p.m. at night, man? I had to go to bed. I had school like at 7 in the morning.
So
You know?
this, my parents were very nice and never cared about this kind of misbehavior. So during like almost the entire last 2 years of high school, I want to say, my schedule was as follows. For some reason, I would go to school because you had to. I'd come home and I'd go immediately to bed because I was exhausted. I would sleep for about 2 or 3 hours. I would wake up, right? And I would program until like 3 in the morning. And then I went back to bed for just like 2 or 3 hours. So like I had to get up at like 6 something. And I would go to school and I'd just be like completely tired and super annoyed that I had to do that. And then the cycle would just repeat. That's like the entire last 2 years of high school for me. We're like that. I
Now
was
hit
so
us with the
checked out.
dial-up.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry?
do your dial-up sound now.
It would be much like trash. It's like
I feel like yours was too beautiful. Yours was
That
more
was
like
like
a
that
horror
was like
movie.
some movie sound
Yeah,
effect.
I feel like I just-
Ooh,
I got
that,
teleported back in time.
that was really a UFO. As far as
I'm waiting for RuneScape to download on my computer right now to finally finish like updating in the browser and get cached correctly.
Mom, I'm not on the internet.
Yeah.
Mom,
Well, the
shut
other
up.
thing is, I don't actually know. Like, I didn't know as a kid, right? I used to, and as a kid, there's like no internet. Like, it's not a thing. I mean, it exists as ARPANET and all this sort of stuff and whatever. So it's there, but like you don't have any knowledge of it. You can't get on it. So BBSs or things like that is all you could information around. There's not much information. So I don't know anything. Like all the programming stuff, you kind of had to learn yourself, or try to find books at like the Borders bookstore or something like this, right? And remember them? And so one of the things too is like modem sounds always used to get progressively more ridiculous, right? Because there's 2400 baud modems, there's 9600 baud modems, there's 14.4 modems or whatever they were. I don't remember. And the sound used to be just the first sound. Used to be it's like, and that's it or something. But as they kept adding new negotiation tiers, the sounds got longer and longer and more complicated. So eventually you're using this modem and it goes through like all these phases, and that's where the like right, and it's like multi-step. It used to be shorter because it was just the one tone. But then they had to do the handshake and figure out, can you do 9600 baud? Can you do 14.4? Like, and it kept escalating, right?
Is that sound actually real?
Yeah,
I feel like it was like literally like the same
Trash,
pitch.
what the hell do you even mean was that
Well,
actually
he's-
I
real?
don't know. I don't know.
Trash, you're saying like, is it basically like the sound at the end of the washing machine when it makes a sound, right? Where it says that it's done, or is it like
I'm
really
just like,
connecting?
well, I'm just like trying to understand like how they came up with this sound. Like
It's
I don't
sounds
know.
humans can't make to prove that it's not a human dialing into something, I assume.
Yeah,
It's like
they
a
didn't want it
negotiation.
to be like someone answers the phone and then it starts like thinking it's an actual modem, I assume. So it's just checking what you are. It's like, hey, can you speak this? Can you speak this? Can you speak this? And so they had different tones, like a dial tone and things like that to signal what you are. Dial
Not
tone is
gonna
this.
lie, today I learned. Not gonna lie.
These
Today I
are the
learned.
numbers, right? Like here's what the touch tone phone tones are, right? These are the click sounds for a rotary dial phone. There's like machines listening everywhere, right? And they need to know who
the
is
machines
who,
are
right?
listening.
I
Casey.
had no freaking idea. I thought they were just like, this would be kind of cool, man.
Yeah! Yeah! They're just like,
And I'm just
this
like,
is gonna be an
what?
awesome sound that we can play out of the speakers.
They're like, Bob, what do you got?
I love it.
modem from Cisco coming
dude.
to you with the sickest sounds of dial-up.
Dude, they're just like in the AOL boardroom,
Yeah,
Bob.
yeah,
What do you got? What do you got, Bob? For us,
Yes! Yeah, and then they're all sitting there going like, nah, CompuServe has this one that's like, and that one was
Flashier.
sick, dude. That one was sick. We need something like that.
Yeah.
What do you got? Go back and give me something fresh.
They've got the Rick Rubin of like
Oh.
vibes of,
Yeah.
of them. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it needs a little more white noise sounds for me,
Yeah.
man.
yeah.
Oh, that's too funny.
Did you listen on your car speakers though? Because it sounds different. You know what I'm saying? You gotta try different computers.
The acoustics in this room are not conducive to my dial tones.
Yes. I can't work like this. You don't understand art. Yeah, it's very
Trash,
possible.
I get this mentality if you were a kid. If you were just an actual child.
He was a
but
kid when it happened.
Same
was.
here. We're the same age, but you're now
I
an
had no
adult
idea,
and you know how things
literally.
work. You never just like pieced it together that they were talking.
All I cared about was going to my chat rooms and having a good time, man.
Yeah.
It's literally.
Dude,
I was
ASL,
probably getting
baby.
catfish. Dude, me
ASL.
and all my neighbors, we thought we had like girlfriends or something. And I didn't even know. Dude, one time they actually
ASL,
called.
baby.
They actually called my house, and they're like, we're like 10 or something, and we said we were like 16. And they called, and my mom was like, this person's on the phone, and me and like all my buddies just started freaking out. We're like, hang up the phone. It was so bad. Anyways,
What did it? Wait, no.
Yeah.
No,
That's not an
Continue.
anyways. That doesn't end in an anyways.
No.
There's not an anyways ending.
no,
to that.
there's an anyways. There's 100%
No.
an anyways.
That's right.
There's
Back it up.
100% an anyway.
So how'd
Back
you
it up.
explain it in the Dragon Ball Z chat room afterwards when you didn't answer?
Yeah, Trash, you need to start a few steps back. Step one. Okay.
Yeah.
How? I just start the whole story over because I need to know what happened and then what your
Yeah.
mom said.
I want
yeah.
this
Well,
is
I
not
don't even
empire.
know what
It's a
chat
good idea
rooms
that
we're
they
in.
call you. You're like, hey, you know what? I'm 16. Let him call me.
I don't know what I don't even know what we were thinking. Actually, giving my phone number out
Yeah.
on the internet for someone to call.
It was your
Dude,
Now,
mom's
what's the
phone
worst could
number
happen on
first
this
off.
Dragon Balls thing?
It was crazy. It was, dude. I remember after that moment, I can actually vividly remember this. We hung up.
And you
And then
said,
and then
I'm
they
gonna
ping
use
us.
one
Well-
password
well-
for the
well,
rest
so
of them.
they hung up. We had call waiting, so we didn't get knocked off when they called. But they had to get offline to call, so I could see went offline screaming. And then we see that they signed back on. They're like, "What happened?" And we're just like, and we just block them. We're just like, I can't talk to
Wait,
this
so it was
person.
a real person, you're saying?
Of course, dude.
Yeah.
TJ, this was the day and age of real people.
This is how
on
you
chat
met
rooms.
people.
Oh, I thought you were getting. When you were saying you were getting catfish, I thought you meant like early fake AI chatbot spammer.
Dude, I mean, I'm sure that happened to us, but this specific instance was like,
No, this was
that's
way too. There was no AI chatbotters at this point. This was the old-fashioned catfish, and he was the catfish.
This is like down home
Yeah,
country
the
catfish.
we already
This is
lied.
real-
Yeah.
The
Crash was
natural,
the catfish.
organic
We learned a hard lesson that day.
fishing caught with a fishing pole catfish.
Dude, it was
All right.
wild times.
All right,
Wild
wow,
times.
that was that's great. Hey, by the way, should we? I like how DJ.
Welcome to our podcast
just
about
processing.
performance, everyone.
I'm
We're now
just
on Dragon
processing.
Balls and getting catfished in 1998 or whatever.
Can we just get back to performance? Can we talk
No,
about
because
this?
Prime, you and I both haven't done our sounds
Okay.
yet.
All
We
right, well, we
cannot.
also,
All right,
apparently we
TJ,
have to tell a
TJ, you're up.
story. Okay, do you want me to tell you the story that my mom told me in about 3rd grade about what the internet will become?
Yes.
Or do you want me to tell you about my habits in high school? I'll give you
Both. Both.
Both.
No,
Yeah,
I
we got
don't know
time.
if we can do both.
Yes.
I want to
We've
hear
got
habits
time.
in high school first.
Okay, habits in high school were very, very simple. I would do something similar to Casey. I'd get home from school and I'd play video games. Sony Online Entertainment, which had infantry, so they had this 100-person game of capture the flag with guns and stuff like that. Played a lot of that. Very good at the game. Got pretty high up on the old rankings. And then I'd stay up until about 1 in the morning, look at porn, and then go to bed at whatever time afterwards. And I'd do that every day. And then during high school, I'd sleep in 3 to 4 of my classes, and I took 2 gym classes. Lot of gym classes. 2 gym classes every day. Okay, really into
do
it. That was
that.
my high school. That literally was it. Well, I did nothing else in high school other than play video games and stay up until 2, 3 in the morning, and then sleep in class. I also didn't get a good grade in high school. It's crazy.
It's hard. It's hard when
see
you're
that.
sleeping through everything. It's true.
All right, so
it
I'm
is
gonna
true.
tell you my mom's story. This is a great story. So I must have been in 3rd grade. I still remember this quite well. She said, okay, so because she's had prophetic dreams, weird ones. When I say prophetic dreams, most people think, okay, you're weird. No, it's like my dad.
We were
came,
already thinking that, buddy.
and
Don't worry.
and he's check these bank accounts because someone stole money, and yes, lo and behold, someone stole money from my mom. Checking these, so real bizarre level dreaming my mom's had. And this one she's like, I had a dream where effectively the world was covered in silver bands, and you could visit anywhere you want, and you could see
Okay.
anything you want. And eventually, the whole world got covered in these silver bands, and you could go everywhere instantaneously. It started, and it was amazing. And then someone came, and everybody would rush towards this thing, and that's how the world's going to end. And I was just like, that's the craziest thing ever. This was in 3rd grade. And then the internet came around. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a weird feeling. And then,
Right.
I don't think I had that sound.
Yeah, that's like a donkey. That's like a donkey modem.
That
Modem
was
plus
like
donkey.
poltergeist for a
Yeah, I know.
second. Oh my gosh.
I feel like I did pretty good, okay? Because
was
it
good.
starts off fast. It's like,
We gotta
Very
zoom,
good,
Josh.
very
We gotta zoom in on his face. He turned so red.
I
during the
did. I
donkey
really,
part.
dude, I
That
laid
was
it
intense.
out. What are you talking about? I didn't do a weak sound.
That
Yeah.
was intense.
So your
That was
mom
wild.
basically presaged the fact that the whole world would get on one giant network.
Yeah, she told me
And-
that I was 3rd grade. I remember this vividly. She had this
But-
dream
What,
decade before that.
1950?
But what about the world ending part? Because that part, should we be worried?
I don't know.
How did that
I
part
don't
go?
know.
What's the? Do we have
Uh,
any details about that?
No, that's
Casey,
all she
that
told
already
me.
happened in 2012. The Mayan
Okay.
calendar.
Yeah.
We're living
That's good.
in the dark
That's a good
timeline
point.
right now.
And
Okay,
why is it
everybody
that
else
already
there.
happened?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Then TJ, we're still missing a modem sound from you.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do Well, so I'll say something random about high school then too. Closest thing. So I shared a room with my brother. So
Milky?
yeah, Melky, me and Melky when we were growing up after we immigrated, and then so the thing for me was I couldn't keep him up at night because he needed to get his beauty rest. So I would literally go take my book. I loved reading books. I didn't need school books, Prime, to be clear.
Yeah,
There's,
he read Wheel of
distinct-
Time.
Yes, I was reading Wheel of Time. And I would turn on my closet light and go sit inside of the closet, hoping that that light wouldn't be enough to see the light underneath the door. So then my parents would be like, "What's TJ doing? He's reading again. It's 1 a.m. Why is this happening?" So there you go. That's mine.
Ah, yes, the parents need to stop the child from reading.
Yeah.
Something that literally no parent has a problem with today.
They do when you stay up too late, and then I wasn't gonna spend time studying, right? So I had to be awake for class time. So that was the big thing. There was I had to make sure I was actually awake during school hours. I was a good student though in school, believe it or not, guys. So
Wow.
okay,
TJ,
and
a
then-
good student. Not shocking.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Except
okay.
for Spanish class, apparently.
well,
Me and more.
so my now wife, then girlfriend at the time, we're high school sweethearts. She was
Oh.
very mad at me that I was going to get an A- in Spanish. She's like, "You could get an A if you wanted to, and you better do it." So I said, "Okay." Then I started studying for Spanish.
Wait. So
Yeah.
both of you are kind of like academic overachievers or something?
Yeah, she was a much better student than I was too. I mean,
Okay.
I got good grades, but she was a better student. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
okay.
she would take notes and like care about
Okay.
things and stuff like that.
All
yes.
right. With like nice handwriting and everything.
Gel
Oh,
pens.
it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It looks
That's
like
how
it's
my high
literally
school girlfriend
stamped.
was.
Yeah, I know how that. Okay, I see
Yeah.
I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, and then she did biochemistry in college and like did very well at that and everything. Yes, so she's a very good student.
All right, so maybe she
Alrighty.
should be on the podcast. I mean, I'm not trying to kick you off, TJ.
Yeah,
but I'm just
we could
saying,
have her
like,
on.
It
She could
sounds like
tell
an
you some-
upgrade. Yeah.
She could tell you some funny stories about me in high school, probably. Yeah, yeah.
I want to hear
So-
the noise.
Most okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Hit me with the noise.
I'm just kidding. I turned on my robot filter. All right, I'll do my real one. All right, I gotta go. Gotta get the vocal cords warmed up.
That
You
sounds
got
like
me.
dubstep.
That's like a
Is that
frog
dubstep?
modem.
It sounds like Skrillex or something.
Yeah, that's Trash. You didn't know. He literally said his inspiration for all of his music came from his dial-up. modem.
I'm not gonna lie. I was believing you, but I didn't want to look like I was believing you. I was like, man, that's crazy.
Man, that's crazy.
Casey
I
didn't
was
laugh,
actually
I was
looking
gonna
around
let
at
that
everyone
one
else's
stay.
faces. I was looking at everyone else's faces to see if they believed you. I was like,
Sorry.
I was just like, yeah, I don't believe that. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm definitely not thinking that's
Dude,
real.
50K, 56K dubstep is a pretty sweet. Like that's pretty
Oh,
sweet
yeah.
band name. Like I could listen
Yeah.
to some 56K right now.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
All right,
That would be
performance. What were we talking about with performance?
Yeah, can you get back?
We
to
haven't
performance?
talked about anything related to performance, but that's perfect. I mean, that's exactly how it should go.
Casey got his thing out where he said, "Guys, he's not even that serious about performance. Why are all you lagging behind?" That was the message
I know,
that he
but we
wanted
need to
to
talk
portray.
more about this. Okay, I
Yeah,
want to hear
okay.
more
Yeah,
about.
but like the context, like
You're the
hardware
one that brought up
performance or
dial-up,
what?
Prime.
Yeah, let's drill down a little bit. So basically, here's the thing. The only real change I think that it would take is just a general attitude, just shift the attitude a little bit to like actually caring and going, this stuff should be basically instant for the end user. And we can't